Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the madness. We have reports, especially coming out of Houston, that air travel is simply out of control due to the government shutdown.
You guys, this is IAH Airport. There's one terminal for most of the checkpoints. Look, the line starts all the way down there and it's going all the way here. This is definitely more than 2 hours wait time. Please get here if y'all trying to catch a flight. Yeah, guys, that was just the outside. This is the inside. All this is one queue to one checkpoint.
Like, it looks ridiculous. I mean, this looks like everyone fleeing New York in I Am Legend, right? Like checkpoints, they're going to scan your head for temperature. If it's a little bit too high, they're just going to take you behind a Dunkin' Donuts and just put one in your skull.
Denver. Ladies and gentlemen, all these cancellations are uncontrollable. No hotel vouchers, no food vouchers. I have nothing else to provide. No hotels. No hotels. No.
Okay, so we had a flight for Portland at 4 p.m.
Dude, this is insane.
That was wrong.
Well, what was the sob story? Depends.
Well, it doesn't matter. We have a phone. I have a idea? Yeah. Idea, Mohammed? What's my gassy flight?
And then the line snakes like that over here. So over here, there's like the line snakes like 5 or 6 more times, just like it is right here. Absolutely insane. She needs to get here probably 2 hours, but the clear line starts right here, so you can literally skip all of that and just start right here. So pre-check, clear something. This is crazy.
You know, I've been to some insane airports, like the busiest airports on the planet, right? I've been to Bangkok, Hong Kong, Tokyo, Manila, Paris, London, and I've seen some pretty intense lines, especially in Bangkok. It gets pretty crazy there, but nothing like this. Like I said, this looks post-apocalyptic. This looks like everyone's fleeing Houston, and it's not just Houston. This is happening everywhere right now. I just had to take my mother to the airport a couple days ago, and she ended up not taking her plane because they pushed it back 3 or 4 hours because IAD, which is Dulles, they said that they were reducing the amount of flights that were coming in there. The impact that this has, of course, is more than just a direct flight, because if you have a connecting flight, you have a certain timeline you have to meet. But if one airport says that, they don't have the staffing in order for them to actually carry out their duties and get people in the air, that causes everyone to miss their connecting flights. And because this is so common, it's happening everywhere right now, there's no comped hotels. It's just people have to sleep in the terminals. But this is what happens right now. This is what happens when you shut down the government and you stop paying employees, right? Flight controllers are going on their second missed paycheck right now. And many of them at this point are looking for second jobs or just leaving the industry entirely because it's not sustainable and it's not stable.
Flight delays are getting worse as the government shutdown drags on and hits day 31. Washington's Reagan Airport, also known as DCA, reported major delays on Thursday as a result of staffing shortages. Data from the Federal Aviation Administration showed ground delays averaging 90 minutes. Keep in mind, this is federal lawmakers' favorite airport and the one they frequently use to get home. In fact, Senator John Thune was directly affected by the delays at DCA Thursday. So this issue is one that is being felt by those who are involved in voting to fund the government. Other airports experiencing similar delays or even longer ones include Orlando, JFK, and LAX. President Donald Trump is now telling Senate Republicans to invoke the so-called nuclear option in order to end the government shutdown. Trump wants the Senate to get rid of the filibuster so that senators can pass a funding bill with a simple majority instead of the 60 votes that are now required. The GOP currently holds 53 seats in the upper chamber. If the nuclear option is applied, just 51 votes would be needed to reopen the government. In a Truth Social post, Trump said, quote, "If the Democrats ever came back into power, which would be made easier for them if the Republicans are not using the great strength and policies made available to us by ending the filibuster, the Democrats will exercise their rights and it will be done in the first day they take office, regardless of whether or not we do it." About 11,000 air traffic controllers missed their paycheck this week, and with no imminent end in sight, these essential workers must continue to show up to work despite the possibility of missing another paycheck during the next pay period if the government remains closed.
Like I said, this is happening all over the country right now, but yeah, a lot of the craziest images right now are coming out of Houston, specifically the George Bush Intercontinental Airport. Of course, there is a second airport in Houston, the Hobby Airport, and they're facing issues as well. But this is happening all over the United States right now, and it's going to continue to get worse as we have record numbers of people just kind of calling sick, not going into work, because why not use your leave time if you're not going to get paid? And a lot of people argue, well, they have a duty, but honestly, when it comes to a lot of the air traffic controllers, I mean, at some point, if anything, this is just a general strike. Say, no, we're not going to work if we're not going to get paid. And I think it's, while incredibly inconvenient for, many Americans who want to go travel and do things, I mean, it's kind of necessary, right? That's the thing, right? Flying is stressful as it is, but now the images that you have, especially coming out of Houston, it just adds a layer of Mad Max on top of it. So here's what we have, right? We have the federal government is shut down. The airline system is kind of has developed a bit of a limp, and Houston is one of the busiest hubs for travel in the United States. But the screenings are moving slower than a funeral procession right now in Houston at George Bush, taking up to 3 hours at a minimum at the moment. And over at Hobby, it's not as bad, but still an hour just to get through. So yeah, thousands of people right now are standing outside. Of course, inside as well, but they might as well be outside. And they're watching their planes depart without them. And all the while, the unpaid workers have taken their sick leave, so they're at home, just kind of watching the whole thing unfold on TikTok. But don't forget that on Sunday alone, there was 4,300 delays nationwide and 559 cancellations. And that's all just in one day. At Bush Airport, it was reported that 13% of all flights were given delays. And these are extended delays as well, most of which lead to cancellations. So just picture this, right? You show up at the airport at 4 a.m. because you heard there was going to be an hour wait. You're sitting there, you're standing, you're sweating. It's Houston, right? At some point, you think there's no way that it can take this long. Like at some point, the attendant's just going to have to beam me onto the plane like it's fucking Star Trek. But no, instead you're just caught up in the chainmail of bureaucracy. And one of the big reasons this is happening, of course, is because of a shutdown in the TSA. Right? At Bush, terminals C and D were closed, which means that they're only running A and E. TSA pre-check was temporarily suspended, which means everyone's going through the same portals to get into the terminals. So yeah, it's completely log jammed at the moment. I mean, you got to give it to the airports right now. The airlines, they are trying, but there's not much they can do because the way that it works, right? Not only do you have the controllers, not only do you have TSA, but you have the bag handlers, the radar, the radio, and the paperwork. And if one link gets broken in that chain, the entire thing breaks down. And that's what we're seeing right now. I mean, the whole damn chain just reacts like a toddler who dropped his ice cream, right? It's just shutting down. It's going nuclear. It's having a freak out. And like I said, we've had over 500 cancellations and about 6,000 delays. But you might be cynical about the reporting and say, hey, just get there a lot earlier. But the question I ask is like, how about I not devote my time to a system that is crumbling? I mean, the airport's functioning like it's operating on Windows 95 on a Go server, and people are losing their flights because the lines are moving at a glacial pace, which, I mean, you're used to at an airport, but not when the line snakes outside and is over 3 hours long. But the worst part is, even if you get through the 3-4 hour line, even if you don't faint or black out from the heat of Houston, or stand so long that you get deep vein thrombosis in your leg and have to get rushed to the hospital to get a catheter set in your femoral artery, you still have to go through the American travel experience, where you probably paid as little as you could for the ticket because the ticket's very expensive, which means that you don't have an assigned seat. So they're going to put you in the middle seat and you're going to be between one huge, enormous fat guy and a crying kid, and you're just going to have to sit there and sweat and hope that you don't have a stroke mid-flight. It's really just kind of lose-lose. It's time to embrace the American road trip again. I understand the convenience of travel, the convenience of flight. It can't be beaten. But If I have to take a flight from Cleveland to DC to go watch my cousin score touchdowns against Georgetown next weekend, it might just be worth to take the 5 or 6 hour drive to get there rather than contemplating deleting myself in line. So the big things that you can do if you are traveling while the shutdown continues and our politicians seem ever so focused on driving us fucking mad, just make sure that you show up to the airport at least 4 to 5 hours early. Continuously check to make sure that your flight hasn't been delayed. Have backup plans, right? Maybe pre-book a rental car just in case. Pre-book a hotel if you're going to be stuck somewhere. And finally, realize that you're not just flying. You're battling the deep state of air travel bureaucracy. That you're at war with the system. A system that used to work, but now it's crumbling and forcing us to stand in line. So in the end, the American air travel experience is less efficient and less convenient as it used to be, and more, do you have a will and a prayer, and maybe you should think about bringing a packed lunch. Like I said, this is happening all over the country right now, but at this very moment, Houston is just the epicenter. But I don't know, tell me what you think. Do you have any flights coming up? Over the past few days, have you needed to take a flight and you saw any problems, or was it smooth for you? I understand, if I'm flying out of Jackson, Wyoming, it's never going to be a hiccup there. And that's because the billionaires fly out of there. But if you're in Atlanta, if you're at JFK, if you're in Houston, or if you're in Miami, let us know what's going on, because there's a lot of curious people out there, and it's just fucking madness, to be completely honest, what we're seeing out there. So thanks for stopping by as always, ladies and gentlemen. If you're still here, give us a like and subscribe. Think about becoming a member, right? Give the channel a donation. And I don't know, man. I like travel, right? But I'm wondering, what effect this is having. We do have a lot of international viewers on this channel. What effect this is having, if there is an effect on international travel right now, right? I mean, is this just something that's happening domestically in our country, or does it have an effect? I mean, imagine regionally any flights that are moving from, America abroad. But in general, let me know what you think. Let me know what your experiences are out there, and let us know in the comment section. But thanks for stopping by as always. Hope you guys have a good one.